Yeah, I mean, for the amount of energy that's in your pieces, you keep your workplace very clean.
Oh.
Swag.
Are you cool with scented candles and incense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. My ritual is just my way of acknowledging the ancestors and connecting with them, with all of them,
Absolutely.
known and unknown. Yeah, welcome to the studio.
I know, it's my first time here.
That's what I'm tripping on.
Yeah.
As long as we've known each other, it feels like you've been here, but
Right.
I think that's just because of just the connective tissue between us and the crew, the whole, VMC. My artistic journey has had several different iterations, but we're now sitting in the midst of like my full-time iteration.
It's one thing to capitalize on creative energy. Another thing to grind people into the ground
Yeah.
for some, ethereal goal or
Yeah.
attainment. Thinking about what this past year and a half has been for us of just, going from COVID and being quarantined, being locked down to protests and then the mural. And it's just been phew.
I mean, June 11th for me is for me personally is it's almost like a birthday or it's the day I came back into the world. Because, I've been sick for a long time and I was just recovering for 2 years and just making art. I couldn't really work.
Yeah.
So I just remember when you when I got the DM.
Yep.
And here's the thing I didn't tell you about that whole thing. So first because I got DM, I was like, yeah, I'm down. And you was like, oh, it'll be either Thursday or Friday. And I was like, oh no, Friday, that's gonna be the first day I see my daughter in a long time because she'd been under quarantine because her mom had a baby. So I couldn't see her for a number of months because of the the pregnancy and not wanting to risk all that. And so that was gonna be the first time I'd seen her that Friday. And so I was like, okay, do I say something now and say I can't do it? And I said, no, just hold off. Something in my head said, hold off, do not say anything.
Yeah.
And then you're like, actually, we're gonna do it Thursday. And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you, Lord. Thank you to all the ancestors, the aunties,
thank you.
People were I felt like that was divine. That was my
really was
first moment of real divine timing and understanding I'd been in the lab, I'd been in the studio, and I remember us running into each other later that summer. I was like, thanks so much. And you're like, yo, you've been doing the work. I've been seeing it.
Yeah.
All these pieces existed separately. I mean, they were part of a triptych, but I was never comfortable with them just being on a wall.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I have a vision for them, and it's this burned out skeleton of a house. Because, again, when I got sick, I had this vision in my mind everything had burned down. And what was left was just kind of the frame of the house.
Charred, yeah.
Charred. And so, while I don't explain that necessarily in the description, for me that comes later after the work has been documented, then I can really break down all the symbolism.
Yeah.
So literally this frame, how you would frame a wall for a house, is the skeleton, is the burnt remains of what's left after you've been through the fire. I've never seen a project in Seattle go off within basically 36, 48 hours.
Yeah.
From idea to completion.
Yeah. We probably never will again.
And that's what we need more of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because the impact it had, the hope it gave, I felt like the people who were feeling it here in Seattle were really feeling it. Like young, old, black, white, Asian, Latino, like Latinx,
it didn't matter, everybody.
Middle Eastern, whatever, it didn't matter. Like people were really feeling it because it was a beacon of hope.
Yeah.
And I just remember I just put down like some purple and people were like, "Ooh, that's awesome." I was like, all right.
So really one of the things that I've been wanting to talk to you about, specifically about this work, is, you know, there's obviously a lot of reference to your father, you know, and your relationship with your dad is obviously one that's very important.
Yeah. He always represented unconditional love. And so with that unconditional love, I was always able to go wherever I wanted, do whatever I wanted, but do it in this way that wasn't like destructive, it was constructive. They both had certain dreams coming up, but then they were diverted. My dad, he was drafted, and then after he was drafted and went to Vietnam, he was gonna go like immigrate to Australia, but then he didn't because you know, family stuff. My grandmother, he had to change and alter his dreams because of the family core.
Right.
Now I grew up like traveling a lot with my family, and they were they always let me kind of, once I got of a certain age, we were like, okay, you can go out on your own and go do stuff. So I would go to all the museums by myself and just like tour around
and have
so,
your own experience.
Yeah. And you know, so literally my father just, before he passed away, I didn't realize how much his presence, his unconditional love was like my fuel, my protection. Like it made me feel like I could never fail. Like I might fail, but I wasn't a failure.
Right. Being in the middle of the chop and all of the energy and people that were there, and then we just had this like sectioned off like little plaza for ourselves to just be, you know, safely distant from everybody, and we just got to like, I found myself being able to drown out a lot of the noise.
Oh, I completely.
And just like,
it just dropped off for me. And when things would get really intense for me, I was like, all right, go take a walk. And then like for some reason my dad would come in my head, and we would be like, I just kind of talked to him through it. And then I thought like all my activist roots and all that had gone completely dormant, and like, but working on the Black Lives Matter mural with everyone and doing the letter M, you know, I liked it because it was for matter, and I like, you know, matter, like you can hold in your hand, you can't see, like it's all these things. But then the M was really, you know, for me to, you know, pay homage to my father, because his name's Moses. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. Oh, this is where all that activism goes. This is where all the public protest, showing something like a different way, a different light. This is where all that goes. This is where all that radicalness inside of me that's been dormant, it goes through this.
Man. You spoke earlier about, you know, your practice of like constriction with certain things. And so to like, you know, just throw everything at this one, you know, and then try to, you know, then pull it back after the fact is, I think, just a testament to that practice and how it evolves, I think, over time, you know.
Yeah, even the tape here. So this is gaffer's tape. And I was just like, oh, let me treat that like line too.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of lines with all sorts of materials, and you even have this three-dimensional wire coming out and then going back in and coming out. And you notice like letters are melted into it, and it's just, ops is more like a hip-hop reference.
Oh, yeah, that's why, yeah.
King Von.
Yep. Running from the
Exactly. Took her to the O.
Representing.
So yeah, I mean, my work is, hip-hop is, the culture is infused within my work. Like, it just is. It's like taking old records, and the archives are like old records.
Yeah.
And then you use that and refresh it. You're like, oh, where'd that come from?
Yeah, man. Gotta flip through those crates. Find that gem.
Yeah. Overall, it's really my dad's lifeblood that runs through everything here. And I can only, I can only imagine how he would feel about all this. And, coming up on the anniversary of his passing, and I had to do this work. And I didn't even realize like the timing or anything. I was just like, oh, wait a minute, it's on the September 23rd. October 23rd is my daughter's birthday. October 25th is when my dad passed away. All of a sudden it was like, this is why.
Right.
This is why it happened at this specific time. This is why it's here for only this specific time. But I'll be interested to see what the work is that I do about my mother and I, because we had a very different relationship with my father.
Yeah.
That's a whole other realm of things, because neither one of them kind of were able to complete their dream from the time that I was dreaming. I was like, I'm just completing the lineage by being able to live here and live there and go there,
Like as a child, it's like gut-wrenching, to think of your parent having dreams and literally having to make a decision to put those things aside so that you could have an opportunity to dream and go beyond, what life had set out for them.
Yeah.
So I know that your dad is so happy that you did this. And I'm sure he's smiling so hard right now. And I want to thank you for doing this work and just being you and persevering through everything, and just being you, Mo. Like, for real, man. Like, we know each other for a little while now, and like, obviously gotten a lot closer, over the past year and a half. So I'm thankful to have you in my life.
Well, the work matters.
It really does.